Ever get that feeling?
Yeah.
Like you're putting on a show a little bit, when it comes to faith, trying to present the perfect version of yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, today we're going deep on something called radical transparency. It's about how seeing ourselves the way God sees us can totally change how we live.
I like it already.
Right. So we're diving into Fitzpatrick. She's a biblical counselor.
Okay.
And she gets real about identity, faith, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And what it means to really live openly before God.
Okay.
Which I think we can all relate to that, right?
Yeah, sure.
So she starts with Psalm 139.
Okay. But, knitted in our mother's womb.
Yes, that's it. And she points out it's not just like our physical blueprints God has, but he designed every single part of us.
Absolutely. And that's a really key part of what Psalm 139 emphasizes, that we are known in such detail by God, and like you said, every quirk, every strength, even our weaknesses are all part of his intentional design.
That is incredible and also kind of overwhelming when you think about it.
It is pretty amazing.
But then it makes you think, okay, what about the parts of ourselves we don't exactly advertise?
Right.
The stuff we're like, still working on that.
Yeah.
Does God's love and design include those parts too?
Yeah. And that's where we get to this distinction between God's design and our choices, right?
Okay.
So things like, if we've developed some bad habits or we haven't been taking care of our health,
Right.
That's on us. That's not God's fault. But the raw material, that's his handiwork.
Yeah.
He's the one who started it all.
It's like, when a potter, they start with the clay.
Yeah.
The quality of that clay matters. Even though they're going to shape it and make it into something beautiful.
Exactly.
It's the starting point.
That's right. And that actually leads Fitzpatrick to use this word. It's a really powerful word. Might be a little jarring at first, but she uses the word abandonment.
Ooh, yeah.
That we are to abandon ourselves to God. We don't need to hide because he already sees it all. He sees all the imperfections.
I got to admit, abandonment, not the coziest word,
Right.
It doesn't exactly make me feel warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
But the way Fitzpatrick explains it, it's like this, knowing that God has this complete view of us, good, bad, the whole shebang.
Right.
It's actually freeing.
It is.
How does that work?
Because when we really grasp that God knows us fully and he still loves us, we have this incredible freedom to stop pretending. We don't have to pretend anymore.
Right.
And that's where the transparency comes in. Because when we're transparent, even when it's tough, it creates this path to have a real, authentic relationship with him.
And we all fear that exposure.
Right? Absolutely.
Being totally known, it's scary.
Yeah.
But to know that with God, we don't have to hide, that's huge. So then how do we actually practically live this out?
Well, that's the thing. It's not about, okay, I need to earn God's love or I need to be perfect for him to accept me.
Yeah.
It's bringing all of ourselves to him, being honest about where we're at, what we're struggling with.
Yeah.
And when we're real with God, that's when real healing and connection can happen. And we can have that same authenticity with safe people in our lives.
So if this radical transparency is what we're going for here, where in our own lives is God maybe prompting us to be more fully known, what would that look like practically for someone listening?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Is it a conversation you've been avoiding?
Maybe.
Maybe it's a habit that you need to address and you've been kind of pushing aside. Or even being honest in your faith community about doubts or struggles.
That's a big one.
Yeah. Don't feel like you have to have it all figured out right now. Let this question kind of simmer in your mind, right?
Yeah.
This is just the start. We're just getting this conversation going.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a journey.
Exactly. It's about what could this radical transparency look like for you?
I love that.
And what would it look like to really start living that out?
It's a great question.
All right. Until next time, keep diving in.